Hi everybody, Giselle Grenier here from artplace.ca. In today's Book of Backgrounds video, we're going to be doing some collage. We're using DecoArt's new paper line, and we're going to be using a vintage map. I'm going to be working on the back side of this piece, and I've got some stencils out, and I was looking at some arrows. I'm thinking for a map where the actual background will kind of lead to the design of the finished journal page in the second phase of the project. I'm thinking map, arrows of places I'd like to see, like to go, where I've been, tire tracks, because I don't like to fly, so we were driving a lot of places to visit, so I thought maybe I'd kind of work that out a little bit. And I'm working on my unstick mat. I've got all my stuff out, so I'm going to be using DecoArt Media white gesso, black gesso, the fluid acrylics, translucent white, phthalo blue, phthalo green blue, transparent yellow iron oxide, and transparent red iron oxide. I'm also going to be using the medium modeling paste and the decoupage matte sealer glue finish. I call this medium. It's a sealer glue and finish, but I call it a medium. So using that, that's almost out. And with these colors here, with the phthalo blue, phthalo green, blue, translucent white, we're going to do some color mixing with that to make up a translucent watercolor. Water, like water, not watercolor, but color water. And these papers are really pretty. This one's called Old World. Where is it? That alone is enough for a nice art piece. And I'm thinking this is going to take a little bit of planning. This is going to take a little bit of planning. I definitely want Canada in there. My son right now is, I don't think it goes that high. He's like way up here. Way up here. Labrador. Yeah, this map is so old it really doesn't say what the provinces are and the Yukon and that, but he's at the highest peak of Canada right now in Nunavut. So that's pretty like that. I also like this feature here with this here, but then I wouldn't get any of Canada in there. So I'm thinking definitely want some water. So if I leave it like that, and I'm going to be doing some tearing, so I'm going to put that right to the edge. So that's what I'm thinking of right here. How's that look? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let me score this. Let me score this. This is a nice feature down here too, that circle. I'm going to cut this, and you know what? Let's try something different. So I scored it. Let me fold it. It's all about experimenting. Haven't had a coffee yet, but I am drinking chai tea, so I'm starting to wake up a little bit. Where's the score line? This is the score line. And the actual folds in the paper disappear. I'm going to use my water brush, and this is a brush which is filled with water, and this is from Royal Brush, and I did a live webinar yesterday called Demystifying Your Art Tools, and people were really interested in this. So I'm going to do squeeze it, which loads it with water. Oh, the brush is dirty, but that's fine. And I'm going to go along the fold lines. on the inside. Which fold is it? Make sure I get that right. Oh, I was going to do the wrong fold. And this may take some retouching. I'm squeezing a little bit of water as I go. The idea is to paint the journal page, to print the background, to paint it white, but then to have the edges black, and then to tear the paper so it has really, really ragged edges. There we go. Like that. It'll look really old. I may have to make this a little bit smaller. I wanted the tippy top of Canada, so that's why I'm just going on the edge here. I'm going to do it on this so we can see some contrast. That's not bad. That's not bad. It actually is not bad at all. It's not perfectly straight, which is fine by me. That looks really nice on the orange. You can see how translucent it is. All right. Does this page have gesso on it? Yeah, actually it does. That page does have gesso on it. What about all these little flecks inside? Yeah, that's fine. Oh, I'm going to prime it again anyways. Adding gesso to a page, whether it needs it or not, just makes it stronger. So I'm going to put that out of the way. You can use my 1-inch wash brush, and I'm going to apply this dry. Now the background on the other side, I have to be careful. I have to be careful because I don't want to get any gesso on that. And I'm going to head out to the big box store today to see if they got their painter's tape for delicate surfaces, or their frog tape, I should say. I wanted to try that. I have yet to find a tape that will stop paint from bleeding through, that won't tear paper. If you guys know of such a tape, let me know, because ideally what you want to do, paint, oh my god. Ideally what you want to do is you want to put tape on the edge here, or even tape a piece of wax paper if this is something you really want to protect. Problem is, especially if you have a lot of collage going down, you don't want to ruin it, because we still, these are just backgrounds, so, but sometimes you create a background that can stand alone as a piece of art. Okay, so that was the white gesso. I am going to hit this with a heat gun for a little bit, and just I've been getting a couple of emails why my heat gun is on the left, considering I'm right-handed. On this side over here, I have my water container. I have a container that holds my cloths after I use them, and I have my brushes. This is the wet zone. This is the dry zone, where I have my notes and my papers and my heat guns. I do not keep my heat gun on the same side as water. But that's a really excellent question. And all I want to dry, I just want to make sure that the edges are dry, and I don't know if you can see how, watch this, see how it kind of fades out. And just because it goes to a matte finish like this, that doesn't mean it's dry. It just means the top is dry. Let this come down to room temperature. Okay, so you wait maybe about 15 seconds, and then you go back and touch it. If it's really cold, it's likely that the underlying layer is still wet. But if it's neutral, then that's fine. In here, it's a little bit cold. Outside here, it's fine. But the more times you keep doing this, the page is going to warm up, so it might be like a false positive. So just kind of come back. But the layer was so thin, don't need to worry about that. I'm going to put that brush in water. Oh, what's that? Oh, that's toilet paper. All right, so now we're going to come in with the black. And yes, I could have used the black acrylic, but no, I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna use a little brush. Now this is where it's gonna be interesting. And I'm going to show you why just using wax paper might not be enough. So as you're painting the edge, I don't want to get any of this underneath. As you're painting, if this moves this way, too late, you're going to have paint on the other side, which is why having some type of painter's tape helps. Now the painter's tape that I was using was this one here called Painter's Mate. And it actually ripped one of the pages that I had. So I'm going to try right here, because this is painted. The goal is you don't want to leave it on too long. I have a glare from the lights. Mind you, I'm thinking now if this had a black edging, that wouldn't be so bad. Again, with a dry brush. And I'm just going to, see, that's what I was talking about, if you then move your page in. So I want to work from the outside in. I don't want this hard line because this will be somewhat transparent. It'll show through the map. And I don't mind this white in here. It's just on the very edge. And now that I'm thinking about it, I could have used my archival ink for this. I really want this to be nice and sturdy. And when we test the paper over it, if it does show up too strong, we can always take some white and go inside. Yeah, see, I didn't get too much in there, so I'm just going to take this off. And I'm going to be doing this in real time. I'm not going to speed up the video, but if this is something that you already know, we're just creating an edge, you can always fast forward. My videos are all geared towards beginners. And the more beginners I can get into doing art, the better. That's my goal in life. And to get rid of the perfection police, the art police. There's no rules when it comes to art journaling. There's what I call chemistry rules. Chemistry rules are things that you cannot mix together, nor should you mix together. For example, if you are creating an oil painting, if you paint with oils, you should not paint with acrylics on top of that. But you can paint with acrylics first and put oils on top of that. So those are chemistry rules. Stuff that you just should not do whatsoever if you want to retain the integrity of your art piece. As an experiment, that's a different story. For example, I used glass stain on paper. Deco art glass stains. It turned out really pretty. Really, really pretty. There we are. See? Now you guys. That's not so bad. Do you know that? That is not so bad. But I would love if you guys can share what you do to prevent your paint from going on the back side of your journal. I would love to know. I'm going to hit this on this side and then I'm going to wipe it off on the other side. Nothing a baby wipe can't fix. And if it's something that's really stubborn, rubbing alcohol. But for this, I'm probably going to end up darkening the edges anyways. All right, so let's put you away. Let's get rid of that. Put that away. I am absolutely loving the size of this. I mean, look up, and it goes way, way back here. I glued another piece, so my entire table from here way over to, you probably can't even see it, so it's about another foot past here, is this mat. You can cut it, and I glued it together, and now my very expensive table that Joe didn't make the tabletop, but he made the sides out of black and stained it and with cedar. Oh, beautiful. Not cedar, birch? Maple, I think. He said, don't you put that table in your studio. You're going to ruin it. No, I won't. A couple days after that, I was trying to clean it. That's actually not too bad. I think I want to dissolve that a little bit. And I want to tear this paper down a little bit. It's still a little bit big. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Because you've already seen the technique of what I did with the paper here, and all I'm going to do on the underneath is just put a little bit of white and just kind of soften that line. I'm going to put on some background music, and that way you can watch it. I'm not going to speed it up. I'm going to do it in real time. guys are wondering, what the heck am I doing putting white on top of that after I just finished working to put the black in? Because you need dark to show light and light to show dark, and to get transparent red iron oxide to show up on black, you have to put some white. And this is to create that beautiful, beautiful texture. And we'll do this with a number 12. Oh, I'm going to put a little bit of water in that. Oh, it's almost empty. That's why I did it that way. Just to give it a touch of color. I'm going to wipe back most of this. It looks really old. I'm just going to keep layering that in. Going to just quickly hit that with the heat gun. Believe it or not, this is the most complicated part of the project. This is the most complicated part of the project. Just going to roughly, just so I don't see any hard lines. There we go. And yes, it looks brighter here because I'm going to be painting this blue. So let's collage this down. And I'm going to pour this into the table. This stuff is super, super strong. If you pour it onto your mat, make sure you clean your mat really quickly. It'll come off, even if it stays there for days. It just takes a little bit more time. All right. Oh my goodness. And I'm going to put the decoupage medium over the entire piece. I'm going to lift up the edges to put it underneath. I have a habit of working this step so fast that I skip some areas. I also have a terrible glare, so I don't quite get to see where I've missed. There we go. And not only am I going to put this here, I'm going to actually put it on the piece itself. This way. That's better. Paper is curling. Oh, and you saw while I was doing the painting, I was wrinkling the paper a little bit because I wanted the wrinkles to be in the map. There we go. Oh, I did get the edges pretty well done. And I want these wrinkles to stay there. wrinkles in collage stuff, if it's intentional, it can really make something look old. And I'm going to be adding another layer of the medium, the decoupage medium, to the top part, so it will create a barrier layer. And a barrier layer simply means that you're putting a layer for the sole purpose of protecting what's underneath. And creating barrier layers of transparent medium is also used for grisaille, which is a technique I used for my portrait artwork. The more transparent layers you add, the more dimensional your piece is, because the light shines right through and reflects back, and it's really pretty. And I just realized I forgot a step. I forgot to antique the edge of the paper. Oh well. I'll have to work that out. There we go. This will dry completely transparent. And a little bit of that paint came up. I'll have to touch that up. So once you've got this on there, you got to leave it. You got to leave it to dry, because you're going to run the risk of pulling up the paper. All right, so I'm going to clean up, and we'll come back when this is dry. You'll never guess what happened. Yeah, I did tear the paper, but that's not the problem. It's upside down. And I know exactly when I did it, because I was placing the paper and I went, oh no, I want to turn it this way. So now it's upside down. So that's going to be a challenge when it comes to what am I going to do? One way is, when I'm binding it in the book, to bind it on the top edge so you flip it and it goes this way. Aha! I'm smart, right? Okay, not going to fret about it, because that'll just be a challenge when it comes to creating the art. So on the table I have, and then when I was like this, when I turned it over, I went, oh no, it had not dried yet. When I took it over, it had pulled up some pieces. So not going to worry about it. It just adds to the aging of the map. Transparent red iron oxide and transparent yellow iron oxide, and I'm going to paint in a transparent layer into the map area. Translucent white, phthalo blue, and phthalo green blue. And we're going to create a mix, a very careful mix. So to the white, I'm going to add a speck of blue. That's way too much blue. I already know it's too much blue. And if you've been following me for a while, you guys know what happens when I get the phthalo colors out, right? I get it all over me. And a speck of green. I was tempted to go to cobalt teal blue, because it's by nature transparent. Anytime you add white to anything, it gets opaque. I'm going to knock it. So now I know what blue, I can knock that down with a little bit of red and a little bit of yellow. There we go. I'm going to try this and see if this is going to do what I want. Oh, I need a baby wipe. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. Won't even need the baby wipe. The baby wipe is simply as emergency. I'm just gonna paint in the water, and we're gonna wipe this back as well. Avoid getting it on the paper edges though. I think I want to leave that and paint that a bit. Cover it up. Cover that up with a black mix as well. If you're working this on a really, really large piece, you may want to do it in sections so the paint doesn't have too much time to dry. Okay, where's the land? This is going to be so transparent. I'm not going to worry too much about it. And then we want to wipe back some areas. Once you get it wet, and you just wipe back some areas. That's too much. Let's put it back. And if you find that your baby wipe is just too wet, squeeze it out. Just going to try this. So the experiment with the translucent white, it's a little, still a little too opaque with me. So next time I would just go with the cobalt teal hue. Even though it says translucent white, I'm not able to get the transparency that I want. I know how I can get it though. Rubbing alcohol. It solves everything. Stinks like a son of a gun, but watch. Put a drop. Whoops. There we go. Coming off. You got to be careful too, because it also is going to take up some of the decoupage medium. This is what I use, this rubbing alcohol. It's 99%. I use this stuff when my stencils will not come clean, even after using the Deco Art stencil cleaner and then the 1000+ stain remover. If the paint is cured, then you're nothing. You can't do anything. But that's what I was looking at doing. Okay, got that medium stuck to my fingers. All right, takes care of that. Now, transparent yellow iron oxide with a speck of transparent red iron oxide, which will make something orange. A little bit of water, and I just want to stain. This we're not going to wipe back. All I want to do is stain the land. Note to self, wash your hands before painting when you're using the decoupage medium. And I say that to myself all the time. I always keep forgetting. I'm going to take the transparent red iron oxide and let's do the edges. If I get that on the other side, it's okay. I can always wipe that back. Raining out, yay! This summer went by so fast. Go. Let me dry this. I'm okay on that side. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bind it from the top that way, and you have to flip it over this way, which will turn it. So that works out well. I'm going to put a layer of matte medium on this because the next step we're going to be doing is stenciling. Stenciling. You know what? This is really pretty just as is, and I'm wondering if I even want to bother stenciling it. The idea for this piece, there's going to be so much stuff on here that doesn't bother me. It bothers me that I was, you know, that I made that mistake, but it's just art. No, take me back about 6-7 years ago, I would have been pulling my hair out. And if you don't like it, upcycle it to something else. Don't throw it away. I get mad at people when they throw away art that they've created that they don't like. Reuse the canvas, reuse the journal page, reuse whatever it is that you were planning on throwing out, reuse it. So that's a Decor Medium Matte Medium. And let me, while that's wet, where's my brush? The transparent red iron oxide. Because I just got an idea. I was going to color this in black, but I thought because the land is the same color, I'm thinking this is a man-made little island that I want to live in. That's a shape of what? What's the shape of that? I see a statue of a girl. No arms, but a statue of a girl. There's my little island. There we go. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to clean this up. When we come back, we're going to stencil our arrows. Okay, for the last step, I'm going to stencil some modeling paste of arrows I think I'm going to have to go to a smaller palette knife. This set came with the DecoArt texture tools. Okay, perfect. And let me do a tiny arrow. Now if I put an arrow up here pointing this way, it's going to lead the eye out of the page. So I think I will put it on an angle. But let's do it like that. Okay. And where do I live? Oh, this map, you can't even see. Oh, there I am. I live right here. Sorry, I'm trying to see the Great Lakes. I want a different type of arrow though. And you can really just, this is just to add some texture. You don't have to add arrows. It's for my idea when it comes to creating the actual page. So that place is important, that place is important. This is a place I would love to make important. So important places And yeah, like that, not at the bottom. No, a big palette knife. Just like frosting a cake, which I can't do. So this is the last step. The background is finished. So, and what I wanted is not really what took place. And which is all right, because things happen, and I have absolutely no intentions of not releasing this video, because if you're watching it, I released it because I just want you to see what I did, what didn't work, why it didn't work, and basically how to fix it. Now I'm going to take this, I'm just going to scrape off some of the areas. You can leave it if you want. And the modeling paste, I let this dry usually for a few hours before we're doing anything with it, but because the background's done and it's going right into with the other backgrounds before binding, I'm going to let this dry for 24 hours. There we are. So that's important. I don't even know where none of it is on this old map. I'd have to look it up. But anyway, so this area is important because Harrison's been in Inuit and Nunavut, where he's right now. The little island where I would like to live is important, right along the equator. I have no idea if that's, safe, but and tire tracks, because we used to do a lot of driving for traveling. So I'm going to leave this the way this is, and I'm already some ideas are coming in as to how I want to really create the art on top of this, and letting this be the prompt to guide onto how the artwork is going to be created. So didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to. Not going to worry about it, going to work with it, and I hope that you took some bits and pieces out of this on how to apply it to your own artwork. And I would love to hear your comments about how you stop paint from getting onto the other side of your page. And also, if you create your own rendition on this, you don't have to use this matte paper, but any type of matte paper. If you create your own rendition on this, to share a picture with me, you can email it to me if you don't want to share it publicly. Or if you don't mind sharing it publicly, pop into my private Facebook group. It's a Facebook group that's free to join, and it's comprised of a whole bunch of artists of different levels. And information on both is on my website at artplace.ca. So I'm going to clean up. I have a lot of cleaning up to do, and I'm going to prepare for the next project. And until I see you in that video, stay inspired.